Welcome back to Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition. We are here at camp, and I said we were going to do two things. We were going to, one, update the codex, and two, do a camp video. So this is going to be codex update video. I dread doing this. I like learning about the codex, but it's so much reading, and reading is not my strong suit. So let's go ahead and work on dragon, dragonlings. Newly hatched dragons are roughly the size of a deer and voraciously hungry. They live for a short time in their mother's lair before venturing out on their own. The slender, wingless creatures are born in vast numbers, as only a few ever make it to adulthood. Dragons. Female dragons take much longer to mature than male counterparts. They too undergo a metamorphosis of sorts at adulthood. But while males lose the use of their forepaws, females actually grow a third set of limbs specifically to serve as wings. Young females travel great distances looking for a stable nesting site because of their nomadic habits. These are the dragons mostly frequently encountered by man. So, does that mean that there are hatchlings where we found that one dragon? Does that come back later? Shriek, which was freaking terrifying. Scholars call these tall, lean, dark spawns the Sherlock, though they are more popular known as shrieks because of the ear splitting cries they emit in battle. Many tales exist of soldiers being unnerved by the sounds of approaching shrieks, cloaked in darkness and never seen until the moment they strike. As horrors of the night, shrieks are renowned for their incredible speed and agility as well as their stealth. They are the assassins of the Darkspawn, penetrating the enemy lines and striking their targets using long, jagged blades attached to their forearms to rip their opponent to shreds in seconds. They have been known to employ poison, often drawn from their own blood, and have demonstrated cunning group tactics while attacking in numbers. Giant spiders. Corrupted spiders are giant arachnids that occasionally grow in the depths of the deep roads, feeding on numerous species of large bats. When the dark roads were lost to the darkspawn, they began to feed on the numerous gemlocks, and their numbers grew exponentially, as did their size. The darkspawn taint has become a parent part of their system, passed on to their prodigy. This has had the effect of increasing their size abnormality as well as their aggressiveness. Some corrupted spiders have made their lairs in surface forests, but most remain underground, close to their blight tainted meals. Yuck. Ancient elven armor before the fall of Arathan, even before Arathan itself, the civilization of the elves stretched across all of Thedas like a great in, indult cat. This armor was made for Templar guards in a time when the Creator still spoke to the elves. The technique of its forging, even the name of the metal it is forged from, have long since faded from memory. Ooh, Aldolf? I don't know how to pronounce that. Odaha? Long ago, a soldier from Grenoir was returning home after 20 years at war. He had sold his sword for passage to Durham and had to make his way through the Burson forests with nothing to his name but a single crust of bread. On his way, he met an old blind woodcutter sitting on a tree stump. Here is someone worse off than myself, said the soldier, and he gave the old man his last scrap of bread. The old man blessed him and gave the soldier his axe in return. The soldier went on his way, and soon night fell. He made his bed in a tree branch and held the woodcutter's axe at his side to warn against beasts and bandits. When the moon was high, he was awakened by the sound of weeping. Show yourself, he shouted, for try as he might, the soldier could find no one nearby. Help me, spoke the tree in which he'd been sleeping. Transformed a mage transformed me into the shape, and I will never be set free. If you had any pity in you, you would cut me down so that my spirit could go to the Maker. So the soldier took up his axe and struck the tree. The cuts bled like wounds, and soon a hot blood covered the axe and burned the soldier's hands. But he held tightly to the axe and felled the tree. The tree shattered when it hit the ground, and from the splinters rose a demon who bowed to the soldier and vanished into the fade. The soldier was chilled to the bone and could not sleep in the morning. He found that the axe still burned like the blood of the Sullivan, but despite its heat, he could not get warm again. They said he ended his days in Grenoir, cutting wood for his 7 fireplaces, shivering and cursing the spirits. The Magister's Shield. On the very day that the final stone was set into place in the grand cathedral of Orleans, Archon Vemprins was assassinated. For 3 days, every magister lord of the Imperium lived behind a wall of armored guards. When his successor, Hadrus, was finally named Archon, the first enchanter of the Circle of Mithras presented him with a gift of silvery adorned chains made from pure lyrium. Enchantment had been worked into the links of the chain so that donning this necklace was like holding up a shield. Bowing strikes at the wearer glanced harmlessly away. Unfortunately, Hedorus found that the shield did not protect him against poison nearly as well. So I'm guessing he was poisoned. Theldun, friend of dead, the guide. O Theldun, Lethervin, friend of the dead, guide my feet, calm my soul, lead me to my rest. In ancient times, the people were ageless and eternal, and instead of dying, would either uther the long sleep and walk the shifting paths beyond the veil with Falodin and his brother Dithraman. Those elders would learn the secrets of dreams, and some returned to the people with newfound knowledge. But we quickened and became mortal. Those of the people who passed walked with Faldern into the beyond and never returned. If they took counsel with Dirtherman on their passage, his wisdom was lost, for it went with them into the beyond also, and never came to the people. Then Filherl caused the gods to be shut away from us, and those who passed no longer had Falden to guide them. And so we learned to lay our loved ones to rest with an oaken staff to keep them from faltering along the paths, and a cedar branch to scatter the ravens, named Fear and Deceit, who once servants of Dirtherman, now without a master, as told by Jinsharl, keeper of Ralphine clan of the Dalish elves. The chant of the light redemption. Many are those who wander in sin, despairing that they are lost forever. But the ones who repent, who has faith, unshaken by the darkness of the world, and boasts not nor gloats over the misfortune of the weak, but takes delight in the Maker's law and creation, she shall know the peace of the Maker's benediction. The light shall lead her safely through the paths of this world and into the next. For she who trusts in the Maker, fire in her water, as the moth sees light and goes towards flame, she should see fire and go towards light. The veil holds no uncertainty for her, and she will know no fear of death, for the Maker shall be her beacon and her shield, her foundation and her sword. From Transfictions 10. Chantry Hierarchy. The divine in the tilter head of the chantry all is the tilter head of the chantry. Although since the Shamism split the imperial chantry into its own faction, there are now in fact two divines at any one time. One divine, informally called the White Divine, is a woman housed in the Grand Cathedral in Val Royaux. The other, known as the Black Divine, is a man housed in the Argus Argent spirit in Minstrel Minrethsel. I don't know. Neither divine recognizes the existence of the other, and the informal names are considered sacrilegious. No matter the gender, a divine is addressed as most holy or your perfection. Beneath the risk Beneath the rank of divine is the Grand Cleric. Each Grand Cleric presides over numerous chantries and represents the highest religious authority for their region. They travel to Val Roxel when when the College of Clerics converses, but otherwise remain where they are assigned. All grand clerics are addressed as Your Grace. Beneath the Grand Cleric is the mother, or in the Imperium Chantry, the father. If a mother is in charge of a particular chantry, reverted is appended to her title. These are the priests responsible for administering to the spiritual well being of their flock. A mother or revered mother is addressed as Your Reveredness. Uh, Brothers and sisters and from the rank and file of chantry and consists of three main groups: affirmed, initiates, and clerics. Affirmed are the lay breathen of the chantry, those regular folk who have turned to the chantry for succors. Yeah, often they are people who have led a difficult or in religious life and have chosen to go into seclusion, or even orphans and similar unfortunates who are raised into the chantry life. The affirmed take care of the chantry and are in turn afforded a life of quiet comp, comp, ugh, contemplation, no questions asked. Only those folks who have taken the vow become initiates. Those are men and women in training, whether in academic knowledge or in material skill of a warrior. All initiates receive an academic education, although only those who seek to become Templars learn how to fight in addition. Clerics are the true academics of the chantry. those men and women who have dedicated themselves to the pursuit of knowledge. They are often found in the Chancery archives, sage presenting over librarians of books and arcane knowledge. The most senior of the clerics placed in charge of such archives are given the title elder, although such a rank is still beneath that of mother. All other brothers and sisters are addressed are simply by noting their title before their name, such as Brother Givenchy, from a guide of ambassadors from Ravini. Okay, so Brother Givenchy isn't as important as I had thought then, I guess, because he doesn't have a real title. Euthenera. To the ancient elves who existed during the time of Arlthin, Eutherana was an act of reven no reverence to the ancient elves who Eutherana to the ancient elves who existed during the time of Arlthin. Eutherana was an act of grievances. Elves did not age. They were not immortal, but they did not suffer from deterioration of mind or body. They suffered only from deterioration of spirit. It did not happen often, but the oldest of the elves were said to reach a point when they became weary of life. Memories became too much to bear, and rather than fade into complacency, they voluntarily stood aside to let newer generations guide their people. Eutherana means the long sleep, in which the elders would retire to a chamber that was one part bed and one part tomb, to great ceremony from all the extended families. The elders would succumb to a slumber for which they would not wake for centuries, and often never in time. The body would deteriorate and the elder would die in truth. All the while, family would continue to visit the chamber to pay respects to one who made such a great sacrifice. With the arrival of humans and the quickening of elven blood that ensued, the practice of Eutherin began to fade. When Arlthin fell, it ceased forever. From what has passed by Hasdrul, Lord of Halmshin, to seven glory. Durim. When anyone in Ferelden speaks of going to the city, they inevitably mean Durham. There is no other place in the kingdom which rivals it, not in size, population, wealth, or importance. It is the seat of the Theron family, the capital of Ferelden, the largest seaport, and by ancient tradition, the meeting place of the Landsmeet. As well, Durham was the birthplace of Andraste, one of them anyway, as several other sites claim to have been the prophet's early home, including Jeddah in Orlais. The Chancery takes no stance on which site claims is valid, but it is well known that Andraste was Ferelden by birth. When visiting the pilgrimage site in Durham, it is inadvisable to mention Jordan at all. The city rests at the foot of Dragon's Peak, a solitary mountain scattered by ancient lava flows. During Andraste's lifetime, it repeatedly filled the sky with a great column of black ash and sent burning rock raining down as far as the free marshes, but it is now considered extinct. Some believe it merely sleeps. and will again darken the sky with ash and fire when the last Ferelden king dies, but this is highly unlikely. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Javinji. I feel like that might end up happening because they think it's unlikely. Is that how the game's gonna end? uh, Policies of Ferelden. To our neighbors, Ferelden seems utterly chaotic. Unlike other monarchies, power does not descend from our throne. Rather, it rises from the support of the freeholders. Each freehold chooses the Bane or Arl to whom it pays allegiance. Typically, this choice is based on the proximity of the freehold to the Lord's castle, as it's worthless to pay for the upkeep of soldiers who will arrive at your land too late to defend it. For the most part, each generation of freeholders casts its lot with the same bane as their fathers did. But this can and do change. No formal oaths are sworn, and it is not unheard of, especially in the picky central Bannerin of Banes, to court freeholders away from their neighbors, a practice in which inevitably begets feuds that last for ages. Terrains arose from amongst the Banes, war leaders who in antiquity have grown powerful enough to move other Banes to swear fealty to them. There were many tyrants in the days before King Callan, but but he succeeded in withering them down to only two: Gwen, Gawarin in the south, High Ever in the north. The tyrants still hold the oath of the Bane and Arls, who they may call upon in the event of war or disaster, and similarly, the terrain ty- the tyrants still hold responsibility for defending those sworn to them. The Arls were established by the tyrants given the command of strategic fortresses that could not be overseen by the tyrants themselves. Unlike the tyrants, the Arls have no bane sworn to them and are simply somewhat more prestigious banes. The king is, in essence, the most powerful of the tyrants. Although Durham was originally the tyrant of the king, it has since been reduced to an Arling, as the king's domain is now all of Ferelden. But even the king's power must come from the Banes. Nowhere is there more evidence that during the Landsmeet than during the Landsmeet. An annual council for which all the nobles of Ferelden gather, held for almost 3,000 years, except odd interruptions during blights and invasions. The sight of a king asking for and working to win the support of lesser men is a source of constant wonder to foreign ambassadors. From Ferelden Folklore and History by Sister Petrini, Chantry Scholar. Ravini. Nowhere in my travels, not in the heart of the Imperium nor the streets of Osimar, have I felt so much an outsider as in Ravini. The chant of light never truly reached the ears of these people. The years they spent under the thumb of the Cornari left most of the country zealous followers of the Quan. But resistance to the chant goes deeper than the Quinari War. The Ravini refused to be parted from their seers, wise women who are in fact head mages, communicating with spirits and actually allowing themselves to become possessed. The chantry, prohibited against such magical practices, violates millennial of local tradition. From In the Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chancery Scholar, Brother Givenchy. Brother Ferdinand Givenchy, as it is the duty of all the true sons of the chantry to make the chant heard from every corner of the world, I made it my mission to find as many corners of the world as possible. The Maker can hardly accept us to do one without the other, except ex- excerpt from In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Givenchy. Brother Da Vinci is one of the Chantry's most well known scholars, primarily on the basis of the stories he had published, which many of his contemporaries dismiss as fanciful. Of his travels across the length and breadth of Thetis. His travels and rather too curious nature led him to the study of folklore, which gives him the notion that he could track down the most debated of all artifacts, the urn of sacred ashes. He announced that he had found what appeared to be the trail of the urn, left in the legends of the region, though which it had passed from minarets on its way into hiding. Ah, yes, Keeper Zathrian. Even with all our magic and skill, we only delay the inevitable. It is said that elves lived in Ferelden long before any others set foot there, and though most of their knowledge has been lost, it falls to the keeper of each clan to preserve what they have. Zathrian is an old server elf who little with little love for outsiders, but his clan is facing a move but his clan is facing a more trying enemy than most. Long ago, in redemption for an attack against his clan, he unleashed a terrible curse. He summoned a spirit into this world and set it upon the humans who had wronged him. The spirit did not simply slaughter Zatharin's enemies, it transformed them into monstrous beasts. In time, however, the werewolves he had created regained their minds, and they sought out the one responsible for their suffering, turning the curse upon Zathrian's own people. At the urging of the Lady of the Forest, Katie Jane persuaded Zathrian to give up his own life, returning the werewolves to their human forms and saving the elves who had been inflicted with the curse. And I also accidentally killed someone who we could have saved if we didn't kill her, and that will never not be a thought. I just accidentally seem to kill a lot of people. It's just how it is. Okay, Witherfang. Witherfang is, according to Keeper's um, Zathrian, a wolf. He is no ordinary wolf, however, he is a wolf possessed by a powerful spirit and the source of the werewolf curse that plagues the Bursilian forests. While Witherfang is hundreds of years old and very powerful in his own right, the only way to end his curse is to cut out his heart and bring it to Zathrian. It appears that Witherfang has two sides, as nature does. One is the wolf, savage and male, but the other is the lady of the forest, gentle and female. Witherfang is both beast and beauty, terrible and peace loving. The lady has guided the werewolves of the Brazilian forest to come to peace with their nature, as she has. long one. The Legend of Callahan, Chapter 3. Callahan's legend tells that Lady Shalyn harbored a love for her king that went beyond friendship, a love that she kept secret out of her sense of duty and honor. When offered a love potion by a witch in disguise, a witch who would later turn out to be the vengeance seeking sister of Arl Simon, Lady Shalyn gave in to temptation. She used the potion on Callahan, and but Queen Marl discovered the two of them together that night and broken-hearted fled Durham to return to her father. She told Mydrin everything, and he angrily threatened to revoke his support of Callahan. 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 Callahan? Is it Galahad? I don't know. And began anew the Civil War. It is said that Lady Shalyn felt remorseful at her manipulation of her best friend's heart and confessed her use of the forbidden magic to the court. Although her life was forfeited, Galahad forgave Lady Shalyn for what she had done and refused to have her executed. Mithrin furiously rused the other Arls against Galahad and Lady Shalyn, and it was not long before Ferelden stood on the brink of civil war once again. Against Galahad's order, Lady Shalyn went alone to Murin to plead for peace and plead her case, only to be found out by Murdrin and slain. Angered but also saddened, Galahad challenged Murdrin to an honor duel, a fight neither of them wanted but both knew was necessary, and Murdrin was slain. The death of the king's greatest ally and important Arl was too much for the young kingdom to bear. The other Arls would not back down in their claims against Calhan. The threat of civil war rose once again. Callan had went to his wife one last time, then none none know what he said to her, and then he simply vanished. He left with Marin a proclaimed abdicating his throne in favor of the son his queen carried in her belly, who eventually ascended to the throne as King Wellin. The king credited with establishing the Thurian dynasty, lasting to this day. Callan would never reappear. The legend of Galahad himself only grew over time as stories and sightings multiplied even long after the point when Callahan could possibly still be alive. Some say he disappeared into the Canary Wilds or went to live with the dwarves or even became a monk in a reclusive chantry order. The chantry named Galahad one of the noted anointed in 788 storm. Callahan's sword Nemetos was left with Murin and became a symbol of Ferelden's kingship over the next century. Rumor of its magical power grew, and when it was lost in the ambush that killed King Verendurin in 824 Blessed, it was seen as a great blow to the Thurin line. Several false swords have appeared since that time, but never has the true sword resurfaced. Do we have that sword? Is that why we have this cut out? From the legend of Galahad, I'm never going to get the names right, by Brother Heron, Chancery Scribe 810 blessed. I can scroll, but nothing happens. In Ertherin, translated from the Elvish tongue. Elder, your time is come. Now I am filled with sorrow. Weary eyes need resting. Heart has become gray and slow. In walking sleep is freedom. We sing, rejoice. We tell the tales. We laugh and cry. We love one more day. From In Erethian, traditional elven song of unknown origins. A carved elven tablet, four panels reproduced here appear to be part of a much larger mural. The topmost panel shows a jug overflown with water standing on the altar. Three elves in robes are positioned around the altar, while a crowd of elves in warlike regala stands just slightly apart from them. Just below is a description of all the elves, those in robes and those in armor, prostrating themselves before the altar with worshipful expressions. Third from the top is a carving which shows one of the three robed figures, a woman with an elaborate tattoo on her face, drinking from the jug on the altar, while the other elves watch. The bottom image shows a tattooed woman standing waist deep in the pool of water. She holds the jug with water spilling out of its mouth. The armored elves bow before her, describing a strange tablet. I wonder where we found that. Oh, yay, more love letters. Okay. A collection of embarrassing personal communications between spoiled wealthy and their objects of affection or obsession. This is a quest we have. I think we need to find 12 of them. It was either 12 or 15. I don't remember. My Darling Reginald. We've read that one, right? Which ones haven't we? My love, I long to dance you beneath the moonlight, our hearts beating like the paired wings of a dove in concert with the glory of the Maker and the beauty of the world that we must shepherd in his absence. Join me in the purity that will last the ages, when the brothers mark the chant of light anew. With all my soul, Eric Denvolin scribbled below in a delicate hand. Otter's pocket. He's earned it tonight. Okay. Uh, to one's paramour. When last we embraced, one noticed the redolence of another's company, but once was unmindful. His most emenic Sir Feather Hampsmith Osvillin the Third? I don't know. My dearest Virginia. We did read that one, didn't we? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we read this one. So, we are caught up on those. Oh, yay, Callan's documents. Page 2 of 3. Your Majesty, my men will arrive as soon as possible to bolster your forces. Make her willing. This blight will be ended before it has begun. Callan, I beseech you, as your uncle, not to join the Grey Wardens on the field. You cannot afford to take this risk. For Ralden cannot afford it. Let me remind you again that you do not have a hair. Your death and it pains me to even think of it, would plunge Ferelden into chaos. And yes, perhaps when this is all over, you will allow me to bring up the subject of your hair, while a son from both the Theron and Mactyr lines would unite Ferelden like no other. We must accept that perhaps this can never be. The queen approaches her 30th year, and her ability to give you a child lessens with each passing month. I submit to you again that it might be time to put Honora aside. We parted harshly the last time I spoke of this, but it has been a full year since then, and nothing has changed. Please, nephew, consider my word, and Andraste's grace be with you. A letter from Arl Emin to King Kellen. So he wanted him to get a divorce. Callan's documents, page 1 of 3, to His Majesty King Callan of Ferelden. My warden commander assures me that we face a blight. This thing threatens us both, and we must work together to fight it, lest it devour all. Our two nations have not had a happy history, but that is all it is, history. It is the future that is at stake now. Let us put aside our father's disagreements so that we may secure the future for both our countries. My chivalrous stand ready and will accompany the Grey Wardens of Orleans to Ferelden. At your word, the might of Orleans will march to reinforce the Ferelden forces. Sincerely, Empress Selen I. A official letter from Empress Selen I of Orleans to King Kellen of Ferelden. I wonder if they're still coming. We could kind of use it. Credits, cool. That's kind of cool how they do that. Return to Ostagar credits. Related quests. We're almost done. Blackstone letter of condolences. My dear lady, it is with great regret that I must inform you of the death of your husband. He died as he lived, with the greatest honor, completing a task of vital importance to the guild. Rest assured that we will take vengeance on those responsible for his death. Please accept my condolences for your loss. Relenor Hawkwind. This letter is marked with the seal of the Blackstone Irregulars. Unbound. The writers follow after every town ever since my lucky break deciphering the story. I see it now, how they take the locals closest to me, preventing rest or kinship. I thought this a road to glory, but I am dodged at every step by his talons. Gas King, curse his name, and the day I heard it. Journal excerpt from an unnamed long dead adventurer. The scroll of Banastor. To align with the power of the Fade is but the first of many steps. Further is to align with the mind of the Fade's rules and find the ties between the realm of dream and the realm of flesh. This is the true power of blood magic. The flesh and the mind are inseparable, and therein lies the power to influence and control minds. Below the text are indecipherable ruins and stains of blood and ink. Others may speak the true power of the blood. This is foolishness. The mind is no more sacred than the knee, the small toe, or the ear. It is man's organ of reasoning, nothing more, and true reasoning requires connection to the rhythm of the blood, the tireless pounding of life. Interrupt this, and even the mind is in your control. Below is again a diagram of blood magic rituals in progress with no notation or description. In the Fade dwell creatures both foul and fair, but all plague mankind with lusts and prides incalculable in our own waking hours. Our power attracts them, and for good reason. Our unique bridge between flesh and the dreams they can enter is one way they can enter the realm of flesh. To begin the path to true power, court these poor terrible creatures and best them. Force them into servitude or pledge your heart to them. Either way, you gain immense power and the means with which to tear holes in the world. Below the text, scribbled in the margins, are arcane symbols drawn with blood. Renaud's plea. Should you find this note, I beg you, please complete my task. I am Renaud, master mage and mentor to the misguided fool Harish. It seems that my young apprentice got mixed up in magic unmentionable, for which I pledged to pursue him to the end of the world. If you are reading this, then my apprentice caught up with me and choked me my last breath. I beg you to divulge into the ancient elven forest and end the threat of the abomination my beloved apprentice has become. You should do this, then I beg you keep the fell spear ring you find on my apprentice finger as a token of my thanks, and may you never know profound failure such as that I feel as I write this. Ronaldo. Ronald? I don't know. Okay, well, we are caught up. That was good. This video hopefully isn't too long. It probably is, though. I hope you guys are enjoying, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.